to today's information session for the Master of Imaging Science program at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine. My name is Todd Peterson. I'm the program director for the MIS program and also a professor of radiology. To begin, before I get into the details of our master's program, I just wanted to address sort of the concept of imaging science. Most of us are aware that there are a whole variety of different medical imaging modalities or ways of doing biomedical imaging. There are different modalities, there are different techniques to probe different parts of the body. We can look at disease states, we can look at diagnosis, we can look at biological processes. The concept of imaging science is really bringing in the idea that there are certain aspects of all of these different imaging modalities, even though the physics can be very different of how the image formation is done. There's still many common concepts: image reconstruction, analyzing images, physical processes, and generating the images. So imaging science is just a recognition that you can sort of draw together all of these commonalities and think of it as a coherent whole. By its nature, it's definitely a very multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary field, because you're bringing together, there's physics, there's math, there's computer science, there's engineering, there's biology, there's medicine. So to employ or deploy medical imaging in different tasks really involves a wide variety of different people and types of expertise. The major thrusts in imaging science, I say, would be technology development. There still is perhaps the possibility of developing a new imaging modality, but for the most part, when I say technology development, it's the idea of trying to further improve our imaging capabilities, improving spatial resolution, improving sensitivity, improving accuracy, those sorts of things. Key aspect of imaging science, at least when applied to the biomedical realm, is how we use it to generate an understanding of the underlying biological processes, how we can use imaging to study the body, how to use different types of contrast mechanisms, create new types of contrast, for instance. And then, of course, there's the idea of applying imaging science techniques to research applications, drug development, studying how the brain works, and then, of course, also applying it to healthcare, to clinical imaging and what we commonly refer to as radiology. This recognition of imaging science as its own kind of coherent discipline led to the creation of the Vanderbilt University Institute of Imaging Science here at Vanderbilt University. It was founded back in 2002, and it really spans across the entire university and medical center. The idea was to bring in all of the different imaging modalities and all the different applications of imaging under one roof. So we have research going on across a wide range of modalities and applications. The numbers vary with time, but roughly speaking, we have about 35 core faculty in VUIS. There are a number of other faculty who work very closely, who are in different departments, different schools at Vanderbilt University that use imaging as part of their research. We also have around somewhere in the upper 30s of staff and somewhere greater than 40 trainees at any one time. So in the 23 years since VUIS was founded, I think it's fair to say that we've really established ourselves as one of the premier imaging centers in the world. We do, across the faculty, staff, and trainees, have physicists, engineers, chemists, physicians, and technologists all working together to push the forefront of imaging science. And really, our range of imaging science research goes from hardware, magnetic coils, radiation detectors, up through doing clinical trials. And here are just a sampling of papers from VUIS people that I grabbed just to give you an example of sort of the range of work going on here. In working in the field of imaging science, we at VUIS sort of identified what we saw to be a sort of missing opportunity, perhaps, or a niche that could be addressed with by having a Master of Imaging Science program. The idea that really there's some demand out in many areas of research and in industry for people who have training and education that's beyond what you can typically obtain as from a bachelor's degree, but not so narrowly and in-depth sort of focused as the PhD degree. And so with that in mind, we created this Master of Imaging Science degree a few years ago. And it's a professional degree that's 12 months in length if you're doing the full-time. I'll come to that, I guess, later, but we also have a part-time option. And what we're aiming to do is provide education and training across the full range of biomedical imaging that I already talked about a little bit. Importantly, I want to point out that it's not designed to prepare people for board certification in any particular professional discipline. And what we see and what we're finding now that we've had some graduates is that it's a good preparation for someone who's interested in further education, going on to medical school or graduate school, people who are interested in staying in academic research. We have a number of investigators, not only in the Institute of Imaging Science, for instance, but also in neurology and cancer biology and other areas that do a great deal of imaging, great deal of imaging as part of their research. And so they have a large group working in their labs, and they have, if they do imaging, having someone who's an imaging specialist can be very valuable to them to handle that aspect of their research. And of course, we know that there are some opportunities out in industry for people who have this sort of advanced imaging education. The goals of the MIS program are really to train the students so they're able to understand the fundamentals of how images are formed, what gives rise to contrast, how to extract information from all different imaging modalities. We want them to develop the ability to implement the technical advances in imaging to an application and apply that expertise to potentially multiple imaging modalities and either in preclinical and or clinical research applications. And just an example down at the bottom, I want to point out in terms of the need or the benefit of understanding of the multiple imaging modalities is just an example of 5 different types of brain imaging using 2 different imaging modalities. And the top row are Parkinson's disease patient, and the bottom is a healthy control. And you can see the first 3 are different types of PET scans, and the last 2 are different types of MRI techniques. And you can see, excuse me, sorry, very different types of information that are obtained with each of the imaging sessions, each of the scans that are presented. So we're trying to train people to understand not only how all of those images are formed, but the different types of information that they contain and how to extract information from those images. The curriculum, as I already mentioned, we have both a full-time, which is 12 months, and a part-time option, which can be done over 2 years. And students have to obtain 20 credit hours. It's a mix of didactic courses, such as imaging physics, biomarkers, image analysis, hands-on labs, where the labs are both acquiring images using the different scanners that we have at the Institute of Imaging Science, and also extracting information from the images in particular that they obtain during the image acquisition labs. We also have some seminars and the opportunity to do rotations through clinical radiology reading rooms. And then the program culminates in a final research project. With hands-on labs, as I mentioned, students have an opportunity to work with all different imaging modalities for both preclinical imaging and human imaging, and applying a range of analysis methods to image data. I also just inserted here, wanted to point out that VUIS has a research retreat each year, typically in the fall semester, and our MIS students participate in this research retreat. It gives the trainees an opportunity to present their research. In fact, we have had one of our MIS students present at the research retreat previously, but that's not an expectation. It happens pretty early in the program. But our other trainees, postdocs, PhD students present their research, as well as some faculty and things. And for the MIS students, it's an opportunity to not only meet a lot of people, but to get a real sense of the full range of research opportunities so they can start thinking about possible topics, possible people they might want to work with when it comes to their final research project. So that research project, we don't have any expectations that students know what they want to do for a research project when they start in the program. If they do, that's great, although they might find that it changes as they learn more and more about different imaging techniques and different opportunities. What we do is we help the students in trying to identify a research project where we use our spring seminar course. Part of it is devoted to helping students both identify projects, approach mentors, put together a research proposal. So it culminates at the end of the spring semester then by presenting a project proposal. So then that provides an opportunity to make sure that the student, as well as we in the program leadership, know that there's a well-circumscribed, well-defined project that the student is going to participate in over summer research. Quite often, the projects involve sort of doing a focused portion of what might be a much longer ongoing research project that goes over the course of many, many years, for instance. So they're doing one confined sort of piece of it. We've had a number of students, for instance, that have projects where investigators have acquired image data as part of a study. Sometimes you have even sort of some pilot or trial sorts of things that you throw in, additional types of scans. And the student's project is to apply an image analysis technique or analyze those images in some way or compare different ways of analyzing the image. So by having a proposal that they put together, identifying a mentor and presenting a proposal at the end of the spring semester, then they immediately, the whole summer is devoted to engaging in the summer research and then culminating in a final report, both a written report and an oral presentation. Throughout the program, both in the courses, the research projects, and just in general, the MIS students have access to our faculty here at VUIS, where, again, we have a really wide range of faculty really working at the forefront of image science across different imaging modalities and have different types of interests in terms of the applications of imaging. And not only with our faculty, not only within VUIS, but I would say largely within Vanderbilt University in general, it's a very collegial, collaborative place. All the faculty are very approachable. Sometimes the students, they're amazed. They comment and specifically how easy it is to meet with the faculty and talk with them and learn from them. I did also want to address the fact that while it's a fairly intensive program, takes a lot of work, just address the sort of student life aspect of being in the MIS program. We've structured the program so the classes are pretty much on Tuesday and Thursday. They end up being fairly long days that way. But what we found is that it works well to do it that way because many students are working part-time to try to generate, sort of have enough money to pay for the program, or they have other sorts of commitments. So this, and we've also had some students who've commuted a ways, for instance, and so this means they only have to be sort of in class on 2 days of the week, leaving more time, a more flexible schedule if they do have to work or have other family commitments, for instance. There are cases where we do have a Friday Institute seminar where students are expected to attend, or at least whenever they're able to attend that. But that's sort of the schedule. Outside of the classroom, VUIS itself has a number of social activities and different functions throughout the year in addition to the research retreat. In fact, coming up in a couple of weeks, we have an Institute potluck lunch. So the students have an opportunity to participate in those activities. Also, the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine, their professional degree program has created, there's a student organization for the professional degree students. And they're quite active, have different types of activities. I show a couple of pictures up there that are actually from a tailgate for a Vanderbilt football game that was held just a couple of weeks ago. They have trivia nights, they have lunches, a whole variety of activities throughout the year. And so that gives our MIS students an opportunity to meet more students that are more graduate students that are across the entire School of Medicine. And not, well, we have our cohorts we found are a pretty tight-knit bunch and enjoy doing things together, but it's also, I think, nice for them to have opportunity to meet other types of students and build a wider circle while they're here. And then, of course, if you're a Vanderbilt University student, you have the opportunity to live in Nashville, which is has lots of things to offer, outdoor activities nearby. Obviously, if you love music, there's no place better to be. It's a great food town, so there's a lot of opportunity to enjoy Nashville. So who would be a good applicant for the MIS program? I'd say it's very helpful. Primary target is people who have a STEM background, maybe not exclusively, but that's important to have at least some, having some math and physics sort of background is definitely beneficial. A lot of our applicants we find are graduating seniors who are interested in using the program as a stepping stone. Maybe they're uncertain if they want to go to graduate school or medical school, or maybe they feel that they need a little more time and opportunity. For instance, having an opportunity to do research can really improve a student's profile in terms of getting admitted into competitive programs. Maybe they just need some time to figure things out, but they want to keep on with their education during that time. We have had a number of people who are working as clinical radiology technologists who have found the program attractive as an opportunity for career advancement. Getting more into the research side of things could prepare them well to transition from working in the clinic to working in industry, for instance. We do really hope the students come in with math skills. We really delve into the nitty-gritty kind of math and physics of how images are acquired and images are formed. So if you don't have a math background, it can be a bit of a struggle. We do, likewise, some computer programming background is definitely helpful. We do most work is in MATLAB. We use a number of other software packages and image analysis. But what we have done, certainly with some of our students who maybe don't have a lot of experience in the math and the programming, we can point them towards resources that will help them be better prepared by the time they show up for classes. So the cost of attendance, this is the current tuition and fees schedule for the class that we have right now. The final tuition for next school year won't become finalized in somewhere until March or so, when it has to be approved by the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees for Vanderbilt. But you can find, if you go to the website, there's under the admissions tab, there will be up-to-date information. So as soon as those final tuition numbers are set, that we will update that on the website. The fees include the student activity fees, for instance, and that's why some of the PDP student organization is able to do some of those activities. Also accessing the library and the student rec center and all those sorts of things are included in fees. Our application process is a fairly straightforward one, not too complicated. I would say you have to submit a transcript or transcripts if you've attended more than one university. There's a statement of purpose where we'd really like to see in that statement of purpose things like, what's your motivation? Why does this program appeal to you? And what are you thinking of doing? What's your sort of, what's your current thinking on what you might do, or how the program might fall in or sort of fold into or provide a stepping stone to help you get to where you want to be ultimately in the future. We do require 2 letters of recommendation. I think the system allows you to have more if you want. Graduate exam scores are encouraged but not required. Either the GRE or MCAT can be submitted. And for foreign students who are coming from universities where English is not the primary mode of instruction, we do require language testing scores, English language testing scores to be submitted. We have an application deadline of February 15th. Once we have all that, so once February 15th rolls around, we review all of the applications that have been received and make direct admissions offers after that. But then we do have a final application deadline of April 30th. So if you maybe aren't sure right now and come spring, you end up deciding that this is a thing you want to do, there is time up until April 30th to apply to the program. And let's see, I think that's it. Tried to keep it short and sweet. Hopefully it provided some information to give you a sense of the program. There is an email address there, mis.contact@vanderbilt.edu, that you can email any questions to, but we do have opportunity. I kept the presentation short so you would have opportunity to ask us questions. I'm actually joined by my colleague, Dan Gotchberg, who's the Director of Graduate Studies for the program, and he and I will try to answer your questions as best we're able. The system, we have it set up such that you'll need to type your question into the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing just so that I can actually see what's going on in that chat. So please, if you have questions, type them into the chat, and we're here to try to answer them. I do see someone typing, it looks like, so. Okay. See typing going on, but Dan, in the meantime, is there anything that I missed or that you want to add before we get to respond to specific questions?
If you're worried about the math or programming background, reach out to us. We'll come up with a solution, send you in the right direction to Khan Academy or MATLAB training things online. It's all addressable. If you want to get over that hump, we can get you there.
There's a question about what kind of careers can we expect upon graduation. I think there are many opportunities in industry. There's many pharma companies, for instance, use imaging, have in-house imaging groups. There are these things called contract research organizations that handle a lot of imaging, the clinical trials work for pharmaceutical companies. They there are ones focused entirely just on imaging. There's a lot of opportunity there in industry and imaging CROs, I believe. And of course, there are also companies where the imaging itself is the point in terms of creating, image analysis software or imaging equipment sorts of things. There are opportunities there. As I mentioned, people who work in academic labs, there are a lot of staff people. So, you think about maybe biomedical research or academic research as being faculty and graduate students, but there are a lot of people who are permanent staff. And so they're quite commonly, those folks are master's degree level people, and they handle specific aspects of the research. In this case, it would probably be handling the imaging. Perhaps, for instance, we have a neurologist who does lots of PET and MRI imaging as part of his research. And so he has people who are within his team that are dedicated to the imaging portions of the research. Next question to do.
Let me just add on to that.
Yes.
You said you didn't have a background in imaging. It would also depend kind of what background you do have and where you see that going. So we get people in the program who have a huge breadth of background. So we had a practicing physician who just finished, who wanted to make a change in the type of medicine they did and wanted to do a residency related to imaging. So was using this as a stepping stone. We have imaging techs who come in. We designed a lot of programs in mind with people coming in with an engineering background. So it depends what you got and also where you want to go. If you might envision, maybe I want to get a PhD or go get an MD, this could be a stepping stone there. So we can work with you if you got a particular vision or a particular background and trying to match that up with a vision. But more than most programs, and there's some flexibility both on the input and the output.
Yeah, and I would add that we do have many contacts across many universities, medical centers throughout Vanderbilt, and people in many areas of industry, and so we've certainly put people in contact with them. And when we, as faculty, we occasionally get emails from people who are looking for someone at different universities or things, or for instance, working in an imaging core lab at a university, we pass those along to our students. And so we certainly work very closely with students. I mean, students have access to the um, what do they call themselves? Um, I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but anyway, the jobs sort of folks, the main sort of university careers office, I guess we'll just call it. There we go. In addition to the faculty and the staff here within the Institute of Imaging Science working with people. So there are many opportunities to find out about what you might be able to do after, for instance, in the fall seminar class that I'm the instructor for. Part of it, I bring in a number of outside speakers who work in different types of industries that are imaging people. So last week it was someone from a pharma company that works in their imaging group. This week it's someone from a company just later today, in fact, who works in a company that develops and diagnostic agents, PET imaging agents, and ultrasound imaging agents. So students have opportunity to find out about what things are going on in industry and meet people and have contacts from that. So another question about leadership opportunities that are available. I guess I'm not sure what that might mean. I mean, it's the program is really focused on the education and research. Students do have opportunities through the PDP student organization. Certainly, you could get involved in that. I don't know how it works in terms of getting into leadership roles there.
But we do have a summer research program that's part of the graduation, but some students start reaching out to the potential mentors in the spring. And if you're really excited to get connected to research earlier, you could start reaching out to labs and start getting momentum in that direction at an earlier point. I don't know if that qualifies as leadership or not, but it's, working on cool puzzles.
And since you mentioned that you joined a little late, we're recording this, and once we edit out a few things, not all of my ums and ahs, I suppose, but once we cut out the dead air at the beginning, you will, I believe Hannah will proactively send it to everyone who is here today. So you'll have opportunity to look back at the beginning, anything that you might have missed.
I see there's a question, though. I don't know if you saw this on the cost of attendance, same regardless of in-state or out-of-state. Yeah, so Vanderbilt is not a state school, so it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. So it would be the same regardless.
Yes. What math courses are seen? Yeah. So having some statistics and probability background is useful. I would say having calculus is definitely beneficial. Dan, you're our sort of math guru guy. What comments do you have on that?
Well, we have a document first off that gives some like example problems just to give you a feel for it. It's not that it's an actual test; it's supposed to be giving you feedback, but it comes down to the most basic parts of calculus. So understanding, taking a derivative, taking an integral, stuff you can get at Khan Academy. They have a good course online. Likewise, if you had questions looking at those problems, that could help out. Programming wise, there's some introduction to MATLAB that's not required, but if you feel overwhelmed by the thought of programming, computer programming can give you an introduction to just get your feet wet so you come in with a little traction. If you already have pre-calculus under your belt, I would say look at a basic calculus class like Khan Academy. You don't have to have it mastered, but getting down the basics at least. So you see a derivative and you get the basic idea. You see an integral, you get the basic idea. do work over the summer. If you take it seriously, you'll probably be in okay shape. Oh, and I'm sorry, vectors too. Vectors and matrices. That's oftentimes part of a maybe pre-calculus curriculum or maybe calculus. I'm not sure when that's taught now, but dealing with vectors and matrices, again, relatively basic linear algebra, how to apply them and manipulate them, that'd be great.
Yeah, I will add that it's interesting because imaging science, we have people coming from quite a range of different backgrounds. So when we evaluate the applications, we're really looking at we try to be very holistic and really looking at, we want students that we believe can succeed in the program, but we're a small program. In fact, our faculty have done a fantastic job of sort of adapting in terms of if some students don't have certain aspects or not as conversant in that area, they sort of work with them or kind of adapting some of the coursework in real time. If you don't have, in terms of the math and computer background, if it's not going to be obvious from your transcript that you've taken some of those courses or have some familiarity, it's useful to maybe address that in your statement of purpose. Just say, I have this, sometimes we have people who have done some math things or programming things in particular on their own that doesn't appear on their transcript. Sort of addressing that would be helpful for us to get a sense of how well prepared you might be, how good a match could be.
Yeah, the Khan Academy is a good resource. Just spell out the truth. Like if you haven't taken calculus, then say you're going to do the Khan Academy stuff and actually do it. I mean, that is the whole point of our admissions process, really more than anything else, is trying to find students who are ready to learn what we're going to teach. The tuition is substantial coming here. We recognize that. We want to have a good match. So you should want a good match too. So tell us the truth. If you're going to say you're going to look at Khan Academy and learn some calculus, really do it so that you're ready and benefit from the program. Or there's nothing magical about Khan Academy. There's lots of stuff
Just an
you can get
example of
online for free or near free. I think MIT has a bunch of classes, like their freshman calculus class, that they'll put all the lectures online. But yeah, spell it out explicitly what you're doing to fill in those gaps, and then actually do it.
Yeah, in terms of what to put in the statement of purpose, or I can just think of some examples where someone who wasn't clear that they had any computing experience or programming experience, but talked about having done a research project and had used, what they actually programmed as part of a research project or something. So they talked about that and mentioned that in their statement of purpose. So it's just a way for us to know that, okay, they may not have taken formal classes, but they've done some work of that sort. So.
Yeah, and the programming language we use is mainly MATLAB. If you wanted to jump directly to getting some background in that, and my guess is there are probably courses out there of doing calculus with MATLAB, though I don't know that for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. Just getting some programming exercises in there related to also learning the math. That sounds like a good fun time to me, but to others, maybe not.
Other questions? So yeah, in terms of GPA, yeah, so if formally it says that the minimum GPA is 3.0 for our admissions. Certainly we do, again, really look at the things, yes, if people have, sort of if it's close, we know that if people are current students, they may be, they'll still have their fall grades, and depending on when they apply, or at least their spring grades to come. We'll look at sort of across the board if people have things that, it was clear that it was something, as you mentioned, 10 years ago or whatever, that drags the overall now. Looking at, we can look down at, we're a small enough program, few enough sort of applications in the scheme of things that we will go to the trouble of looking at what the trends are, again, because people sometimes have family issues or weren't prepared when they first started at university and have a bad semester or a bad year for various reasons, but maybe that's early on. And if you look at the trend now, we'll certainly take all of that into consideration in trying to evaluate the admissions.
And you can kill two birds with one stone. So I don't know the details on this, so maybe I'm wrong. But I think some things like taking a calculus class online, you can pay a relatively small amount, like $100, and take exams and be certified that you did X, Y, and Z in the class. Um, that's oftentimes a model that some universities and stuff will do for online classes, or something else. Taking a community college, or something where you're actually really learning the material and you're also showing that you're ready to learn the material. Uh, Again, for missions, we want to just try to get a good match, and you should want that too, sort of thing. So uh, try it out, see if this is the right thing for you, and you can show it to us too. That will help with admissions.
Certainly, if you have more questions on your mind at the moment, go ahead and type them in. We'll stick around and keep on answering questions as long as you have them. But I will just point out, you should feel free to send us an email. We can also set up an individual meeting if you want to go over some more details of background or how to prepare yourself. We're certainly happy to try to do that. Not seeing any dancing dots suggesting that there are more questions on the way. Okay, well, that's fine if you don't have any questions at the moment. But as I say, please reach out to us at any time with any questions that you may have. And Hannah has confirmed that she'll send out the recording of this. So if you can go back, or if you weren't here at the very beginning, check out things again. Or sometimes things make more sense the second time through because there's something later on that triggered you to think about something that I might have talked about earlier. But you'll have that coming to you, and please reach out. But I really appreciate your interest in the program and you spending a little bit of time with us today to find out more about it. And hopefully we'll see some applications from you and possibly see you face to face here next August when classes start. So thank you all.